All right, welcome to phase two. So this phase is all about clarity. You've gone through the process of dealing with some of the chaos in your world. You've gone through the process of clearing things up a little bit, dealing with the nervous system, improving how your brain is functioning, improving how your nervous system is functioning so that you are in a less chaotic space. Now that we're there, we want to start thinking about what we want. And in order to establish what we want, in order to craft a vision for our future, we're going to have to go through a process of discovery. We're going to start by assessing your beliefs and the things that have kept you stuck. Then we're going to move on to look at who you are by defining what you value, what your passions are, your purpose, what you're curious about, your roles, your skills, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, we will go into the process of building out the vision. But it's all got to start with beliefs, okay? The beliefs that you hold. And this is going to be big this week, okay? Now, you might want to do the tasks that I'm going to lay out for you in one go, all right? You might want to do this as one big thing, one day, get it all done. If you have the physical capacity to do that, then great. If you do not have the physical capacity to do that, then you're going to lay this out and you're going to do it day after day, okay? This is probably one of the biggest tasks I'm going to give you in the program, okay? But it's going to be hugely, hugely insightful for you because there's going to be an element of physicality involved, a lot of journaling and introspection, and then we'll finish it all off with doing some more release work. So it's going to be big. So prepare yourself for this. Now, before we get into it, we're going to talk a little bit about beliefs, how they work, why they matter, and why we're doing this work ultimately. Then we're going to get into the protocol. I'll lay out the first part in this video, and then I'll lay out the subsequent parts in the other videos, which will give you the choice to either split them up or do it all together. That's up to you. That's entirely up to you how you want to do that. So let's keep this simple. At this stage, you already know that your brain is an electrochemical organ. It's got electricity, it's got chemicals, it's all going through your brain and it's processing data. It can do that on a conscious level and it can do it on an unconscious level. So if you think about the actions that your body does to keep you alive, those are things that are done unconsciously. You don't have to think about digesting your food. You don't have to think about making your heart beat. You don't have to think about breathing. It just does it to keep you alive. That's all subconscious, okay? Unconscious, should I say. Your brain is always, always, always processing data and sending signals to your body so that it can do whatever it needs to do, okay? Now, the brain in itself is an organ. Okay, it is separate from the mind. The brain is the brain, the mind is the mind. Now, the brain wants to work really quickly, okay? It's in its best interest to process the information that it gets with speed and efficiency, because if it doesn't, then you're at risk for survival, okay? Ultimately, your brain and your nervous system wants to keep you alive, and it does that through filtering information and tagging things up, making links, getting rid of some stuff and storing other things, okay? It makes these associations on what is useful and what is valuable for survival, what's not useful, what deserves your energy and what doesn't, okay? Which in itself is a blessing because it keeps you alive, but it can also be a curse because if it's associating the wrong things, if it's putting energy on the wrong things, then you're going to stay stuck. So if we break this down and make it even simpler, we have experiences, okay? The brain takes in data during those experiences and it creates a response. That response sends neurotransmitters around your body. It's chemical feedback. That is energy in motion. We feel it, and that's where the term emotion comes from, okay? We feel these neurotransmitters, we feel the response. We have the feelings, we tend to have thoughts associated with that as well, and that drives us to act, okay? So emotions are the way, the body's way of making, the brain's way, sorry, of making the body understand what's happening, okay? The brain processes, the mind thinks, the body feels, and together they keep you alive. So it's really important to note that, like I said earlier, the brain is an organ, okay? It's just doing its job. You can make it work better, you can make it work worse based on how you treat it, which you already understand because we've covered it, but it's not something that is it's not something that thinks and adapts and makes judgments. That's what the mind does. The mind is something that exists outside the confinement of the brain. Okay, it's not physical, it's beyond all of that. It's its own little world that exists within us. And we can link it up with thoughts, beliefs, stories, judgments, perceptions, imagination, all kinds of higher level cognitive functions that aren't really physically tangible. We can't see them, but we know they're there. And the best way to describe this is like a mansion. Okay, your mind is effectively a big old mansion. It's static, but it's got loads of different rooms in. And in these rooms, they're full of different experiences. And you can move around and you can visit whichever one you want. And that movement is your awareness. It's energy moving around the mind and going wherever you place it. Okay? When you focus on a specific event from your task, it's putting your awareness in that room where that event happened. Okay? This is the easiest way to think about it. Now, more often than not, your movement around the mansion is dictated by your subconscious patterns and your habits, okay? The awareness is being driven by your subconscious. And more often than not, people don't know how to control that because they've not trained it. People don't know how to make the subconscious conscious, okay? Which is normal. Because for most of the day, only 5% of your experience is conscious. Roughly 95% of who you are is a subconscious pattern. Only 5% is that conscious day-to-day experience. If you think about any skill you're really good at, in the beginning, when you start to learn, you have to really, really focus and direct your awareness and your energy to the task at hand to make it happen consciously. But then once you get really good at it, it becomes natural, it becomes subconscious, and you don't have to direct your awareness to it, it just happens. And it's those subconscious patterns that make life easier to get through. They keep you alive, they save energy, they put you on autopilot so the conscious mind can have a rest, because it takes a hell of a lot of work and effort and energy to be conscious and concentrating. You know how hard it is to stay focused on a task. It's hard, it takes energy, it takes effort. If you think back to any new skill, when you're learning it, it is tiring, it is draining. Higher level thought processing and cognition is hard. It changes how the brain functions. It requires a different set of brainwaves, a different set of neurotransmitters, and an abundance of energy. But if we can automate much of that, then we can get through our day easier and we can survive easier. At least that's how our brain and our mind want this to be. Brain wants to work easily. The mind wants to help it work easily. It wants to keep us alive. But of course, this is all trainable. And the subconscious, great in theory, amazing for saving energy, for getting us through day-to-day life, making things easier for us, preventing us from ultimately killing ourselves, doing something stupid. But at the same time, it's damaging, because the patterns that sit in your subconscious are made up of your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your habits, your beliefs, your stories, everything that you have experienced so far, ultimately your personality, everything that makes you, you. And they're always running in the background, always. And your personality, all of those things, the sum total of you, will dictate your reality. So if what's in your subconscious mind, in that 95%, is shit, then your reality is going to be shit. And this is just evolution. You can't fight against this. You can't make your subconscious disappear. You can't make, you can't force things into being conscious. It's the old iceberg analogy. You can only see 5% at the top. The rest exists hidden away. And that's the most profound and powerful and in some ways damaging bit. That's the bit that drives everything. Okay. So the contents of our subconscious mind is formed in two ways, okay? Through experiences, like we said earlier. You experience something, the brain processes the data, the sounds, the sights, the smell, the touch, all that sensory data goes in there, and we make a judgment about that. And then we have the other version, which is hypnosis, okay? Having things put into the subconscious mind when you're in a suggestible state, okay? That's how kids learn. So up until the age of roughly kind of 7 or 8, their brain waves are operating in a highly theta dominant state. So they're really suggestible to everything. They're learning things, it's all going in. And that was the same for us, because much of what we have stored inside our subconscious was formed during our early years. And the stuff that isn't comes from our experiences, the lives that we've been living. So it's a combination. And we throw in repetition as well. If we repeat something over and over and over again, that's going to stick. So this is how we end up with our habits and our patterns and our automated responses. If we have an experience daily, some of them are going to be really profound and some of them are not. If an experience is profound, it's going to trigger an emotional response, a strong emotional response. The chemical receptors are going to flood the body. We're going to feel it more. So that's going to be identified as being something that's important and needs to be stored away by that organizational system that we have. If we have the same experience or a very similar one, automatically the brain will associate that experience and it will give us the same neurochemical reaction because it likes to associate for simplicity. And it gets driven in again. You can almost think of the mind as a kind of holding pen for everything that goes on in your world, whereas your brain and your nervous system are the things that allow it to communicate through the neurochemistry, through the electrical brainwaves. And if we keep having these experiences and we keep repeating the same patterns, it makes it stick. Okay, because like I said, key number 3 is repetition. That's how we learn things, doing it over and over and over again. If you keep having repetition of the same feelings, then they're going to stick with you. If you keep having repetitions of the same experiences, then you're going to associate them with particular things, particular emotions, and they're going to stick with you. And sometimes you only even have to have the experience once, but if you keep playing that in your head over and over and over again, it will trigger the same response because the brain can't tell the difference between a real or imagined experience, which is why your thoughts are so powerful. You can build an entire belief system based on something that wasn't even real in terms of your physical world, which is incredibly frightening. So all of this stuff is stored in that subconscious mind, and it is driving how you think, how you feel, and how you act. So what we want to do is shine a light on some of those subconscious beliefs and bring them to the forefront. We want to make them conscious so that we can actually start to question them. Because when you question the validity of something, the cracks start to show. And when you start to put cracks in something, you're able to break it. And if you can break a belief, it puts you in a position to create a new one. We can find evidence for the new one, and then we can hammer that one home instead. And if you replace an unhelpful belief with a helpful belief, you're going to feel better, you're going to think better, you're going to take better actions. It's a practice, it's a process, it's something that takes time, but it can absolutely be done. Essentially reprogramming your belief system. So that's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to go through this process of identifying the biggest beliefs in your life, the things that have kept you stuck. And then we're going to go through this process of actually thinking about them, so raising awareness and bringing them to the forefront, bringing them to the conscious mind. And we're going to break them, okay? We're going to break them using questioning, introspection, and really getting you to put your energy on them, but in a way that makes you susceptible to breaking them and questioning their validity so that we can actually start to shift them, okay? We don't want to put energy on things and give them energy unless we're willing to actually do something with it. Most people talk about their problems and put energy and effort into them. They go on and on and on, and they constantly feel like shit. And that's because they keep talking about the same thing over and over again without actually questioning its validity or trying to change it. It's in that questioning and that changing that we actually start to break things down and create something new. Okay, so energy is important. Bringing something to the forefront of the conscious mind is important, but it's what you do after that really matters. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, hopefully you have a little bit of an understanding of how this works and how the mind works. And now we're going to go into the first initial task. So you're going to want, for this particular endeavor, you will need your journal, as always, a pen. You're going to need a backpack, a good one, not a crappy one. And you're going to want some rocks, not like little teeny tiny rocks. We want something substantial, okay? not massive great boulders, because you're going to be working through a few of these. You want something that you can carry around. All right. This is on your judgment. We don't want things that are huge, but we don't want something that's teeny tiny and not going to have any impact either. So you're going to pick out up to 7 rocks. Okay. Up to 7. Each rock is going to be representative of a belief that you have held for a long time that you know does not serve you. Okay. An unconscious belief that has kept you stuck, affected your thoughts, affected your feelings, and affected the actions you've took throughout your life. So what are those key beliefs for you? So write a list of them. Let's go up to 7. You may find there's more than that, but if you want to, you can redo this process with a series of other beliefs, but don't want you to do it more than 7 because it's overkill. So up to 7. I would say probably no less than 5, no more than 7. So you're going to write those down and you're going to grab your rocks. Okay, that's going to be part 1. Now, those beliefs are no better than lies. Okay, beliefs are ultimately lies that you tell to yourself, especially if they're ones that don't serve you. Beliefs can either be incredibly damaging or they can be the things that get you where you want to go. So we want to take the damaging beliefs, we want to take the ones that form as lies, the ones that prevent you from being who you want to be, doing what you want to do, and having what you want to have, and we want to break them. And that's what we're going to do with this. Okay, so 5 to 7 rocks, each one representative of a belief that has kept you stuck in your life. Those 7 rocks are going to go into your backpack, along with your journal, along with your pen. Then we're going to start phase 1. Okay, so you're going to get the backpack and you're going to walk. Okay, you're going to go and walk for a minimum of 20 minutes. Okay, 20 minutes. And as you're carrying those rocks, I want you to just think about the beliefs that you're carrying around in your bag. Okay, this is metaphorical. The weight that you're currently carrying now represents the weight that you've been carrying around in your subconscious mind. How good is it going to feel when we let go of that, when we get rid of it? Okay, so you're going to ponder those beliefs. You're going to ponder what each of those rocks means to you and what the effect of that has been in your life. For 20 minutes, just think about it. You want to talk to yourself? Talk to yourself. If you want to take a friend with you and ponder this together, you can. Personally, for me, I feel like this is real, it's quite an intense experience. So I did this on my own. I didn't ask anyone to do this with me. If you want to take someone with you to bounce ideas off, you can, but just be aware that this is about your beliefs. Don't let them sway you. It's up to you. If you've got someone who's super neutral and unbiased, then you can do that. Right, once you hit your 20 minutes, find a space and you're going to stop. And you're going to stack your rocks up, okay? Your 5 to 7 rocks, you're going to stack them up in a little pillar. Try and balance them. That might take you a minute. And you get annoyed with it. And that's good, because you want to get annoyed with these beliefs because they've been a pain in your ass for years and years and years. So get annoyed with them. But try and stack them up in a little tower. Then you're going to pull out your journal. You're going to go through a process, okay? You're going to list out the name of each of those rocks. So you've got 5 to 7 rocks there. Each one is associated with one of your beliefs, one of the things that's kept you stuck. I want you to list them off, okay? Then I want you to write about what those beliefs have cost you, okay? Now you can do this either free flow. So belief number 1 has cost me such and such, such and such. Belief number 2 has cost me such and such, such and such. Or you can organize it and do this. Belief number 1 has cost me this, this, and this in my physical body. Belief number 1 has cost me this, this, and this in my relationships. Belief number 1 has cost me this, this, and this in my professional life. And you can organize it how you want. You're all different in here. Some of you will like to categorize things and organize it, which is what I did when I did it. I put each area of my life and then I wrote the impact that the belief had in that area, or you can just free flow with it. Whatever works for you, okay? But your goal here is to make it clear that each of these beliefs has cost you something in your life. And you want to write down what it's cost you, okay? And you can go into all kinds of stuff. What's it cost you physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, relationships? You know, go deep. Don't just say, oh, it stopped me from doing what I wanted to do in my life. That's too vague. You need to have a bit of detail. You can free flow the detail and just write and treat it like a free writing exercise, or do it organized. That's up to you. But make sure it's detailed, okay? So if you don't detail it, then it means nothing. It means you haven't thought about it in any great depth. When you've done that, get your phone out, take a selfie of you with your journal and your pile of rocks, all right? That's proof that you've done it. And then I would like you to share that in our little group, okay? Or you can even go ahead and share it into the Warriors World Facebook group if you want to show the guys in the other programs what it is you've been working on. Get some support from them as well. As long as you share it somewhere, then that's great. And then you stack them back up into your bag, put your journal back, and then you're going to walk and either walk home, okay, the 20 minutes back, that's enough for you for today, or you're going to walk for another 20 minutes and you're going to go into task number 2, which will be in the second video here. That's up to you. Bearing in mind, there's going to be 4 of these different tasks, okay? So if you have the capacity to walk for a few hours carrying the rocks, then just keep going. If you know you don't get yourself stuck out in the middle of nowhere, knowing you've got to walk miles back. If you know you can't do that, you don't have the physical ability to do that, turn back, walk 20 minutes and go home, then do the next one tomorrow, okay? So just be mindful of that. The rocks get heavy pretty quickly, I remember. And if you've not got a good backpack as well, it can be quite uncomfortable. So just make sure that you're properly prepared if you're going to go on and do every single one back to back. Otherwise, it's a case of go home, leave the backpack with the rocks in it, leave your journal there, and then get ready to go again the next day, okay? Do not jump ahead. Do not skip pieces of this process, because this is important, okay? If you skip a piece of the process and you jump ahead, it's not going to make sense to you. So follow the flow of this, all right? So either go ahead now, walk 20 minutes back, or go ahead and walk 20 minutes further and check out the second video either immediately or tomorrow.